Ready to start the meeting. I'd like to call to order of the Building Committee of a Whole meeting of the Board of Directors of the School District for the City of Allentown for today, November 21st, 2024. The board welcomes and invites public comment. You may address the board on agenda or non-agenda items. The first opportunity for comment is in the beginning of the meeting and limited to agenda items only. Comment cards must be received by the start of the meeting, which is now. We will not be receiving public cards once the meeting begins. A copy of the public comment policy is located on the table next to the comment cards. For our board's policy, any person may address the board in accordance with the procedures and limitations of this policy, either on issues presented and resolutions being considered, or on other matters affecting the administration, management, or operation of the district. Remarks of personal nature directed against any individual will be ruled out of order. Is there any cards? All righty. No, no. Oh, hold on. Roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Conover?
Present.
Ms. Harris?
Here.
Ms. Matheson?
Here.
Mr. Nikoloff?
Here.
Ms. Noel?
Here.
Ms. Ortiz?
Here.
Ms. Sierra?
Here.
Ms. Tiburcio?
Here.
We have 9 members present.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we will receive an update from the Breslin Architects regarding the design of the exterior facade of the new school.
Good evening, board. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, tonight, the administration is requesting the school board of directors to approve the following actions regarding the new K-8 school building project. Approval of project justification and schematic design, and approval to proceed with the design and development phase of this project. This approval will allow the project to transition from the schematic design phase to the detailed design and development phase. These approvals are critical. They are a critical step in addressing the growing needs of our community and ensuring that we provide high-quality educational facilities for our students and staff. The new K-8 school is necessary to accommodate increasing enrollment, modernize learning spaces, and support the district's long-term educational goals. The action request has been reviewed by the district solicitor to ensure compliance with all legal and procedural requirements, and it is recommended that the school board of directors approve this item during tonight's special meeting to maintain project timelines and to continue progress on this essential initiative. And I want to personally thank you for your continued support in advancing educational excellence, in our community. So thank you. And now present to you Mr. Steve Barons, Principal Architect of Breslin Architects.
Before you leave off the stage, one of the things that is really important, because we really did not understand this as a board, Act 34. Could you please explain that?
Sure. So, my knowledge of Act 34, I know some on the board have heard this before, but Act 34 is an act legislated by the Pennsylvania legislature that seeks to put limits on how much money a district can spend with their district authority. So we have these calculated limits on how much we can spend. It's commonly referred to as the Taj Mahal Act. It seems years ago there were districts that had a lot of funding that were able to do things like put 2 or 3 swimming pools and tennis courts in, and it really wasn't fair to the taxpayers of this good Commonwealth. So the legislature put these guardrails in place to ensure that we are building to meet the needs and not overbuilding. And that's basically my knowledge of that. I'm sure the architect can get into the finer details of Act 34, but that's the basis.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, Dr. Burke, school board members, for the opportunity to come back and present again this evening. So we are looking at project justification. As Mr. Smith indicated, the schematic design process involves one of the key ingredients is project justification. So we have quite a bit of information to share here this evening. I realize you've had 2 weeks to review much of it. Much of it is the same, so I will go through that relatively quickly. But I want to focus on the things that are different. We heard the comments last time and some concerns, and so we've put together some additional slides to speak to things like Act 34 and so forth. So I want to address those questions and concerns and then leave plenty of time for a discussion as well. So with respect to the project justification, we know that the goal is for the K-8 Academy at Northridge to meet the district's goals. And so those are numerous items that have been developed through the programming stage, but some of the highlights here are the opportunity for a 5th middle school and a K-8 campus, as Mr. Smith alluded to address enrollment growth. And so we had a few slides last time relative to enrollment growth, and this project meets those goals. The site itself offers generous space for amenities and pedestrian and vehicular traffic and circulation. Perhaps most of all, towards the bottom of the slide there, it's giving us the opportunity to increase the capacity at the elementary and especially the middle school level to provide opportunity for renovation and replacement of Harrison Morton Middle School. As we know, that's a strong need. And also to address the residential property growth that will occur right there in that neighborhood. And then most of all, the alignment with the strategic plan that the district has worked so diligently on recently. So next slide. And then when we look at the Northridge property itself in the picture on the right, that's a 16.7 acre site. And all of these things are really enhanced by what is a wonderful site on the east side for this facility. There's adequate space for playgrounds, for a multi-sport play field, and accommodate future population growth with potential additions to the building. This site has a clean phase 1 environmental report, and it's close to the neighborhood that it's serving. And as well as offering the opportunity to matriculate to other theme-based high schools in the district.
One moment before you go on. The clean phase environmental report, exactly what are you talking about?
Okay, good question. Mm-hmm. So when analyzing sites from a due diligence perspective, one of the important things is to do testing and research into the history of the site and potential adverse items that might or issues that might be on the site. This particular piece of property through the master planning process has undergone what's called a phase 1 environmental report. That's what would then, the results of that, if anything was discovered, would then trigger additional testing and more detail. And this area of the site has historically not contained any structures or anything like that going back through the history of the site that raised any concerns, and the report has come back clean.
Thank you.
Thank you. So also some questions arose with respect to what are we actually approving with schematic design. So wanted to introduce this slide to address that. Schematic design is the first of 3 design phases that increase in detail and actually in duration as well. And the schematic design is to define the project needs and the conceptual solutions. So what is included in schematic design? We're looking at the site layout. That's what's pictured there on the right. Why? For the purposes of land development. So we're right now engaged with the property owner in the land development process. We define through that, to facilitate that, the building size and general shape. That's a result of identifying the program needs and the size of the building to respond to enrollment trends. We look at the sustainability goals, and I'll go into that a little bit more detail coming up. And then the quality and durability. So the general specification of the building. And we know with a school that needs to be durable and to provide years of service. We look at the building code requirements. And then ultimately the arrangement of spaces, and you'll see that in the plans to come. What does schematic design not include? So what is not part of the approval? Some of the things you'll actually see in the presentation, but the detailed interior design of individual rooms, that's the next phase, and that will involve a lot of stakeholders and very detailed meetings. Color selections, both exterior and interior materials. We're showing you some vision for that, but it is not part of the approval. The district design team will continue to look at that over months ahead of us. And things like the final door and window sizes and locations, those aren't worked out in their final form. And then landscaping features, you'll see walkways and playground features and landscaping. That's preliminary as well, not part of the schematic design approval. So the question with respect to Act 34, which was already raised, a very important consideration in school design. So as Mr. Smith very, very eloquently summarized, Act 34 is a law put in place by the legislature in 1973, and it's intended to place boundaries on the cost expenditures for school construction in our Commonwealth. And it is applicable to new construction, which of course is what we have, as well as significant additions to buildings. It's centered around what's called a rated pupil capacity. Spaces within the building earn points that and classrooms, specific instructional spaces garner the largest amount of points. And then there's limited, or in some cases, no credit given for libraries, gymnasiums, cafeteria, maintenance, storage, things that are all very important for a successful building. They're needed, but because of the way the formula is configured, they're weighted much less. So the important takeaway from that is the design must balance these considerations. So the balance of classroom space to core facility space. An aggregate building expenditure standard, or what we refer to as the limit, which you'll hear that referred to in future presentations, that equals that RPC total of points by the product of that and a applicable per pupil cost. That's a dollar amount that's updated annually by PDE. So that multiplication exercise creates what's called the limit, the maximum expenditure for the building. Just for some context, the 2024 per pupil cost increase was about 4.3% over 2023, and it's an aggregate number of the trailing 2 years. So you can imagine in a high inflation period like we've had recently, those numbers aren't keeping up, and so there's been a lot of pressure on the design of schools to meet these criteria. If we exceed that Act 34 limit with the cost of the building, it requires a voter referendum. Those are very seldom attempted in Pennsylvania and almost never successful. So we try to avoid that. And right here at the outset, knowing that's something that puts pressure on the design of the building moving forward, we look at that very carefully even at this early stage. So next slide. Based on that explanation, you can understand that Act 34 encourages a focus on the first cost of construction, those bid contractor costs. But we know that fiscal responsibility requires, especially for school buildings that need to provide decades of reliable service, to not burden future boards with maintenance costs. We need to look at the life cycle or the total cost of ownership over the building over its lifetime. So we need to balance those first costs with introducing durable, long-lasting materials like brick, terrazzo, wall tile, all the things you can see in the photograph on the right. And high efficiency energy systems. So things that you don't see in renderings and photographs, those are important investments for operational savings moving forward. They're expensive things that need to be accounted for in the budget. And then we have to be careful. Some things cost more in the design, like expanses of glass, for example, can be very expensive, put pressure on those costs, but they also perhaps raise concerns about safety or security or energy use, glare inside spaces, and maintenance. And ultimately, obviously, our goal is to prioritize the funding such that we can provide those innovative educational spaces that we want to in the design. So a careful analysis of all of this is already underway with the design that you'll see. And it's just some of the boundaries that we need to keep in mind as we're looking at the design of the building. So with the next slide, I want to introduce some updated information from the last presentation that we're excited to share. So we want to just explain through some of these images how we've responded, how we've heard the comments and concerns from the previous presentation, and want to show you a little bit more detail and a little bit more development in the design. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this is not part of the schematic design per se, but we want to give you a feel for how we're beginning the design of the facade of the building, and it will continue to develop over the months ahead. So some of the features here to point out is the flying canopy over the main entrance, the abundant use of glass into the interior spaces. We've added a little bit more glass to the stair tower. This is obviously a twilight rendering, which really gives you a good sense of how the glass will be prominent in seeing the illumination from the inside. There's the windows of the classroom wing are on the left-hand side there. Those are floor to ceiling, 4 or 5 foot wide glass, 2 or 3 of those into every classroom but then that's controlled, as I said, with the use of daylighting strategies. So if we move on to the next slide, here's another. This is obviously a daytime view, again, from a slightly different angle to show how students would be approaching the building. Again, you see that inviting canopy reaching out towards what is the bus drop off and the main entrance to the building. Again, that stair tower that we've referred to as, which will be a beacon in the East Side community, visible from almost everywhere in that region of the city. In the next slide. And some more views to come, but now we want to reinforce some of the items that really are part of the schematic design approval. This is the project site plan that I walked us through, and again, Hanover Avenue is at the lower end of the plan. We see the multi-sport play field there, which will be obviously a strong physical education and athletic amenity to the building, but also open to community use. and we're continuing to work on how that functions as an entry point to the campus. One of the priorities, as I mentioned earlier, was to create a K-8 campus within the city. And so that down at the sort of the public transportation and pedestrian traffic entry point to the site, to the campus from Hanover Avenue is a great feature. And then, of course, the building is positioned slightly up the hill from there. And we can see the bus drop off, the parent drop off, the way the arms, the academic wings and the learning communities bookend that beautiful outdoor space that will develop into outdoor classrooms and other amenities for the school use. Next slide. If we zero in a little bit on the area of the site that is occupied by the building itself, you can start to see the layout, the program of the building, where we have the shared use facilities running north-south. And then the two learning communities, K-5 on the lower end of the image, 6-8 on the upper end. And then in the middle there is our academic courtyard and some of the library and innovation lab spaces along the main street there. We'll have direct access to the courtyard and really take advantage of that. And then I discussed how this really forms a sort of a geographic and geophysical sanctuary as well, with the ridge and the slope up to the backside. And then this what's essentially over an acre of space back there to really leverage for the use of the school. Exciting to see how that will develop. Here's another view. This is we've intentionally changed the color of the brick on the building here again to show you another option as we move forward. And you can see how there's color starting to find its way into the elevation and different materials. Again, a lot to explore as we move forward, but you can see just some of the options of materiality on the facade of the building. Again, the main entrance there is at the base of the stair tower. In the foreground is the bus loop, and then off to the right is the parent drop-off area. This is a view as we move up Northridge Boulevard along the side of the building, and this is where the building is actually stepping up the topography of the site. There'll be secondary entrances into the community use areas of the building. The multi-purpose room, which will you can see above that secondary entrance, has a large glass panel above it. Further up would be what we're calling the community area that would involve the cafeteria, some of the related arts, performing arts areas of the building. And then this is a view, again, with a color change to show some different options here as this would develop moving forward. But again, this is that entry point to the campus itself that really provides a nice public-facing approach, where you have the option of the large sidewalk running up the right-hand side of the image, but then an entry point to the campus itself and the athletic field, which is about 5 feet above the level of Hanover Avenue at this point. That can develop in numerous ways moving forward. And then we'll quickly do some recaps on the floor plan itself. Again, we see the core facility use spaces on the right-hand side as we march up the plan, the administration suite and secure main entry to the building, and then a wellness lab and a multi-purpose room with a stage. So we want that multi-purpose room to really function as also a performing arts space to really elevate the opportunities for students in that area alongside athletics. And then there's band and choral, some fitness and lab spaces, and then the kitchen and cafeteria serving area above that. And then you see on the left-hand side of that Main Street spine that runs north-south within the building and really provides connective tissue for all the program elements and wide, generous circulation paths. You'll see the library, media center, some innovation lab spaces there that look out to the courtyard, and then the academic village wings of the elementary school and the middle school, and then again embracing that outdoor courtyard. A reminder of some aspirational images that might develop in some ideas and spur design elements within. This is an example of a Main Street type space that is 2-story, well lit through skylights and abundant daylight coming in through the ends and providing that wide circulation path up through the building. Here we do have the topography to overcome with some stepping and potentially some learning commons areas within that Main Street area. This is an example of what one of those might look like moving forward. And here's a library space that looks out to a courtyard. You can see, again, the floor to ceiling glass, really leveraging the use of natural light and views to the outdoors that are in those spaces. Off to the left are some stacks, but also then some seminar rooms where there can be small group instruction or staff development areas within the building. These become very, very popular spaces within the building. And then the second floor, so it's a similar floor plate with respect to the academic learning communities. You'll see at the center of each floor is a learning commons, and that centers on the science labs as well, because again, we're thinking forward towards the thematic nature of the building and creating opportunities to work that, integrate that into the floor plan. So it's just part of the DNA of the building. The next slide shows one of those learning commons spaces that break down the length of the corridor, but also provide areas for community on each floor. And then the third floor, each academic wing is 3 stories. And again, a similar floor plate that is flexible for future thinking. So and also as potential enrollment bubbles work their way through, the classroom wings are set up to be flexible so that with team teaching and the need for maybe an extra classroom in a certain grade, a certain year, there's flexibility for how each academic wing is programmed in that regard. And then we also look forward to the mechanical needs of the building. And so we're anticipating the need for a lower level mechanical room near the service access points of the building. So to conclude, as we think about all these quantitative aspects of the design and think through getting all of the permits and Act 34 and all of those priorities, we need to keep in mind that the goal here is a high-performing school. And so this is just a list of the priorities that have been developed through the programming and schematic design process. We're conscious of the theme-based education that's part of the strategic plan. We're looking at those sustainability goals, things like a vegetated roof, green roof, to reduce the amount of stormwater created by the building, high efficiency systems, indoor air quality, accessibility and wellness. Those items are integrated again into the design of the building as we have to overcome the topographic realities of the site. We talked last time about daylighting strategies and how those will be important to develop into the building, not only for reduced energy costs, but for the comfort and educational needs. And again, the data that's coming to us and how that influences outcomes. And working out the safe, convenient, separate support for all the types of transportation that are coming to the site, from pedestrians to parents with cars to busing. The community use of a multi-sport and physical education field on site, I can't stress enough the civic quality of the building and how this is really going to enrich Allentown citywide with this new amazing building and a large building that will really be a beacon in the neighborhood. And then also keeping in mind the state-of-the-art requirements for safety and security. And we also know that it's not just the front door that's a safety feature, but we look at the environmental design, the layering of space, and how we create an open and inviting building while still being conscious and conscientious about keeping our kids and staff safe. So with that, I'll open it up for discussion, for questions, and look forward to hearing your comments.
I do have a couple of questions for you. If we could go back to that open hangout / study area a few slides back.
Yep.
The one near the stairs, like the levels.
Oh, yeah,
Right there.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yes.
I like the idea, the concept of it. However, when I look at that, I see more of a slip, trip, fall hazard in the open area, especially nearby what seems to be a flight of stairs and windows with sharp ridges. I like the concept. I just see that as a potential liability and students possibly getting hurt. I'm not sure what other alternatives you might have for that, but that's just jumped in my head. And then as for the schematic design process and the including quote building size and general shape, I'm wondering how specific the general shape needs to be as part of this process. What alterations can be made, particularly to the design of the outside of the building?
Okay, sure. Good question. So if we go back maybe to one of the main floor plans, yeah, that was fine right there. So the size and shape of the building and mass is part of the site design. And so that is part of what's going into the review of for the land development, for the permitting and that sort of thing. And that's a tight balance also with respect to impervious area on the site, the ability to manage the stormwater coming off of those impervious areas. And so that's been a lot of very detailed, very careful analysis driven by the review of the program. So what are the program needs of the building? And so those have worked hand in hand through the programming and schematic design to develop this footprint, this size and capacity of the building. So this is what is the result of all of the stakeholders involved with academic programming and that sort of thing. So the shape and size of the building is really developed, and that's fixed. If that were to change, it would cause a delay in terms of having to do engineering redesign resubmissions. But again, it's not something that hasn't been fully vetted. Let's put it that way from a program and an academic standpoint. With respect to the facade, though, the verticality of that, yes, there's flexibility moving forward. So that's why I'm very apt to say when showing the renderings that these are not what's part of the schematic design approval per se, but that's with respect to the details. The overall footprint, the overall program of the building is what has received prior approvals, and so that's what is really set and forming the foundation for the permitting process that's moving forward.
Any other questions?
I do have a couple questions. So, on that slide, you had the school construction consideration, and you had everything listed about safety and
Probably the next one.
yes. So I engaged a few stakeholders, i.e. parents, and they were talking about the glass. And they made mention that they love the concept of the glass, but they're thinking about safety. And I'm asking you, engaging you as the professional, because we want the glass. And they love the glass as well, but they're just thinking about how can we make sure that it's safe. So if people are like passing by or on campus, they can't necessarily look in and see the students. Is there a way to add, the only word I know is like a tint that can allow the sunlight to come in, you know, all the things the kids need, but however, kind of have some restriction on the visibility inside of the building?
Yes, certainly. If maybe we could advance to the daytime rendering. Okay, so that's perfect. So you say tint, and that's actually exactly the right word.
Oh.
Because you can see if you look at these two renderings, you know, there's a what we talk about from an artistic standpoint is there's a solid void relationship. So during the day, the glass becomes dark because there is a tint to it. So it's much brighter outside than inside. And so, yes, it's actually hard to see in the windows from the outside during the day because of that balance. And so that's a benefit from a safety and security standpoint. At night, however, when it's brighter inside than outside, the reverse occurs. And so the building illuminates.
Okay.
And so but again, that's not when classes are in session in the classroom. That's when you're inviting the public in, really, and using those community rooms, spaces within the building. And so, yeah, so we think about that. We also think about the safety rating, the durability of the glass, its resistance to intruders. We think about shades on the glass. So for those times when you want to do projection inside the room and you need to darken the glass. We also think about glare on the glass. So that's where you see those sunscreens, because lots of glass is great. We do want those views to the outside because that's very helpful for circadian rhythm and orienting oneself within the building, seeing outside. And it's also ironic that from a safety standpoint, glass around the administration suite, around the main entrance, studies are showing that that's actually beneficial from a safety and security standpoint, because now folks that are inside can see out. They can see who's approaching and that sort of thing. So we harden the glass, if you will, use laminated or even ballistic rated glass at certain locations in the building. We don't necessarily talk about where in public forums, but we would review all of that with the stakeholders. And then that becomes a method for creating those layering of space strategies that I was referring to later. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes. And then thinking about glass again and the sustainability of the glass. Well, as far as being more energy efficient, because I'm hearing, of course, when it comes to like cold air has a tendency to come through glass a little bit easier. What can you do to make sure that that is good?
Right. From an energy conservation standpoint, wall is always the preferred, that has a much greater resistance to heat and cold than the glass does. So we acknowledge that when there's large amounts of glass, when we've made those determinations that it's appropriate to have large panels of glass, that becomes an HVAC mechanical system, and we'll wash the glass with radiant heat or with forced air, so that you're not getting those cold zones against the glass, so that the students whose desks are closer to the window are colder. And so that's why I said large expanses of glass have an occupant comfort implication that we need to deal with. So yes, the mechanical system would be designed to address that layering or that stratification of the air so that the glass can be comfortable.
And is that something like ASD would have to like continue with that maintenance? Like, say for instance, is it set up to where that thing that you said we have to spray on the, like, is that an automatic thing?
Yes, that's part of the mechanical system. That's automatic. That's not somebody actively doing that.
Gotcha.
That's a radiator at the bottom of the glass. That's duct work above the glass. Part of the mechanical system.
Gotcha.
Question.
Yeah.
So you talked about early on when you first began to speak. You talked about the Act 32 and referendum. And it sounds to me, but I need you to correct me if I'm wrong, that what you're showing us is not in any way, because our money might not even be able to buy this. Is that what you're saying?
No.
No? Because I heard you say something about the windows. You said, what, we have like 4 feet, 5 foot windows, and they may not. So tell me, help me, because
Sure.
that's where I'm kind of.
No, great question. So what I'm saying by introducing this is that this is part of our consideration early on, even at this stage, because we precisely don't want to be in that situation where we're showing you something that doesn't meet the requirements. So we have, in development of the floor plan, we've done that balancing exercise that's described here. So Act 34, we believe, is we are on track and in compliance. Now, there's a lot more decisions to be made coming down the road about the design of the facade, about the size of windows and that sort of thing. So our professional duty is to show you, demonstrate something that we believe is achievable within your budget, within the requirements of Act 34, based on our decades of experience as school designers. And so that's what you're seeing here, is something that we believe is achievable. And so we are looking at those code requirements, those Act 34 requirements, even at this early stage of design.
So this next question, thank you very much, is to my colleagues. Did we, because I know last time we were in a meeting, we talked about lighting and how important lighting was, natural lighting. And I wanted to know if we had, or how extensive, or what did we do? Because you're the architect, you're going to design pretty much what we ask you for. But have we done any study in terms of to be able to back the need for lighting, or what our kids need? Because I heard you say that this would be a wonderful civic piece in the city of Allentown, which is a good thing. But at the same time, we want to make sure whatever it is that we are agreeing to, that it's definitely meeting the needs of our students. Because, we have psychological challenges. We have many challenges, put that without me sitting here and calling them out. But that building needs to be able to address those needs, and as well as you said, maintenance. But I'm more concerned with making sure that we're being innovative and we are building a school that's going to last, and it's going to allow our students to be able to excel. And so my question is, how much work did we do to ensure that whatever it is they're giving us, it's actually going to work for our benefit? Because whether it's $2 million, $300 million, or $2, we want whatever dollar we spend to be spent in the best interest of our students.
Is that an admin question or board question?
Well, I'm going to ask the admin, because
Okay.
it trickles down
That's
to,
board.
right.
So we looked at schools around the country as in response to what the board said. We presented those school designs to the architect, and they first told us all the technical reasons why maybe one school was in a certain area of the country, as opposed to here where we live, in terms of solid foundation. So we went through that from a technical standpoint. And so since we are very early on in the design phase, we still have a lot of time to do all those things that we all want to do, in terms of, because what we was shown, and that's what Steve shared with us, we're still this is very early. We're not asking you to commit to any of the designs he presented, but kind of moving along with the overall concept. And maybe you can go back to that slide, Steve, and what we're asking the board for today, and then how we have all this stuff. So tonight, the schematic design approval is the layout, and I'll let you explain it more efficiently than I can. We talked about the building size and general shape, which all these things he shared with us meets the requirements of Pennsylvania Department of Education, the quality and durability of the particular facility, because as you know, again, we're in the part of the country that we're in, we have weather that's inclement, more so than maybe other places in the country. Because when we looked at schools, we saw some things, they looked really exciting to us. And he said, well, that's Dr. Burks, that's because they're in Arizona. And in Arizona, you need to, and he went into all these details. We spent a lot of time looking at schools. I think I know a lot more. We even called our solicitor and asked him about other school districts and what they've used. And so we spent a lot of hours in meeting requirements. So right now, whether we want a bigger window or a dark window or a color, or what are some of the materials you shared with me before besides the brick, I
Yeah,
feel like an
metal-
architect because you
metal
taught me a lot.
panels, terracotta.
Yeah, we can get into all those things moving forward and ensuring they meet the educational needs. But the basic footprint of the building, that's what we're asking for.
And so I get that, and thank you very much, Dr. Burks, and thank you. But I'd also just want to remind you that the reason why we're here again was because at that last meeting, what we were presented with was not what we had discussed, and I had attended several architectural meetings, and that wasn't what was shown to us. And so that was the reason why we all agreed to go back and figure it out. So it's not like this Lisa Conover, who's been all over the paper, was just saying, no, it looks like a jail. It's not what we discussed prior to. And it's looking a little better, but I don't want to get to the point where we're being told that we just have to go with that first design or something similar to it or worse because we don't have enough money and we've committed to moving forward with building a school. We need a school. There's no doubt about it. But we want a school, and we want to be clear that we need a school that's actually going to benefit where our kids are going to benefit from, and hopefully no walls and no massive. That was right. Yeah, that part. So
yeah, I had another question on the wall because I saw it. The wall popped up again, and I know we have to go in front of the planning commission with the.
They mean the gate.
The gate.
Gate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, I'm only speaking for myself. My colleagues are here. I don't even want that wall presented. I'm being honest. I don't. I want the kids to have the campus feel. So, and also those guardrails that's on top of the wall. Like I've been around and I see that they stain. I hate it. Those little bars there, they stain. Actually, I had a conversation with someone that just recently built a state-of-the-art building, and they literally said to me, "Where were you when we were doing that?" Because they have some of those rails and it's staining already, and it's new. So yeah, I would prefer. I'm not really sure why we have the wall, and I get it. You know, we can talk about safety, but we have Dariff doesn't have a wall. Allen doesn't have a wall. There are a lot of campuses that we have that don't have a wall.
May I explain why?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you raised Dariff. Actually, Dariff does have walls, but they're walls with the field below the sidewalk level. Those old WPA stone walls, those beautiful historic elements there, that they're the opposite. They're overcoming a grade change where the field is below the sidewalk. Here it's the opposite. Because the terrain is sloping up, that field level is actually 5 feet above the Hanover Avenue sidewalk. So what you're seeing there is a wall that's retaining earth. So it may be hard to see here, but I think there might actually be a couple of players in the rendering on that field. So where you see the wall, it's because where we're standing here on the sidewalk is 5 feet below the level of the athletic field above. So what we're doing then is creating, but again, the design of it is flexible. The design of it is certainly not finalized. So this is a way to soften that grade elevation. You'll see that, you know, you do need for safety, for the fact that, you know, a soccer ball isn't rolling out onto Hanover Avenue. There needs to be something to as a ball stopping. So again, the design of this is flexible.
Maybe I'm missing something. Where the wall is where the field is? Is it
correct
in that area?
Correct.
So the other parts of the campus, there is no wall like going all the way around the campus.
No. If can we advance to one of the renderings that shows the building close up?
For sure.
There's no wall there around that. That's a planter there. If we even went back to the daytime views that zoom out a little bit, there's no wall there around the building.
Gotcha. So it's just around the athletic
It's
field.
it's not even entirely around the athletic field. It's around the lower end of the athletic field. So when you're standing up on the field, you're not seeing that wall
Okay.
because that wall drops down from there.
Thanks for clarifying, because
Okay.
I was under the impression like this wall is wrapping around. Because it's hard to see when you're, it's just pieces just.
Sure, understood.
going
Yeah,
around.
very, very
Yeah,
understandable.
but those yeah.
Yeah, that's a fence to keep balls from rolling out into the street. The color of the fence, it's not bars, it's like an ornamental picket fence.
What can we use other than that? Because what's gonna happen is like we're not gonna keep power washing that, and it's just gonna stain, and we're gonna lose that beauty very early. So I'm just thinking, just for something for you to think about, what else can, you could be the innovator of this thing.
Great.
Okay.
We'll keep that in mind moving forward for sure.
Thank you.
I have a question. So, I'm thinking of the field right now, and I don't know if I missed this, but do we have, sorry, what was the bleachers? Do we have bleachers on that field?
Can we go back to the site plan, one of the earliest? Yeah, actually, sorry.
It.
Right there. Yeah, it's quite small.
It's the white section.
The
right?
white section,
Okay.
right. So this is not designed as a J. Bernie Crum competitive stadium, right? But we do know, we want to invite the community, we want to invite parents to be spectators. And so that is an area that will include several things. It could include some bleachers. It will definitely include a ramp for accessibility to overcome that 5 feet. So somebody getting off the bus on Hanover still has an accessible way to reach field level, and some steps, and whatever other amenities may prove out as we move forward to support the program.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure I fully responded to Ms. Conover. And so, as I mentioned, we're very early on in the design phase, and the administration is making commitment to ensure that we follow the board's policy as relates to how we open new schools by engaging multiple stakeholders and having input in this decision making. And that includes the school board. And I know you have that area of expertise, Ms. Conover, so I'm hoping you'll be in those discussions about how the school is constructed, what type of educational spaces collectively as administration. And we haven't really committed to a theme yet. As an organization, we have some ideas what it might look like, but we do want this to be a community-wide effort in building this new school for our families and our children.
Thank you, Dr. Burks. Receive.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Okay,
I'm
thank
sorry,
you.
but I forgot to ask Dr. Brooks if there were any remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Phoebe. Superintendent's remarks. I want to thank the team from Breslin for your hard work and being responsive to the feedback that you received for our school board as well as from the administration. And I know you spent a lot of hours. I don't know if you have any other clients, but I know you spent a lot of time with us these past few hours, days. So thank you. Tonight, I just want a few comments, and I really want to thank this. We have one member of our team who is moving on to another chapter in his career and in life. And, I would be remiss if I didn't say publicly that on behalf of the 16,700 children, as well as the 2,500 full-time employees, we have some other different numbers of part-time ones. I want to thank Mr. Tom Smith for his amazing service to the Allentown School District. Please join me. I'm not gonna say his age, but I'm just gonna say he's been he's been in the Allentown School District for a very long time because he started in the district as a student and he graduated. He is seriously a husky for sure, deep down in his heart. And he spent 15 years in the district in service. And he started early on in his career as a custodian and worked his way all the way up to be executive director. And for the year and a half plus, and I know you always think I've been here for like 30 years, but I haven't. So, but he has helped us and me to write grants for our students and really go above and beyond in ensuring that we create greater efficiencies within the district. And some of the things that you would think someone in his role would not do, we say, you want to read the students, he'll go read the students. You ask him to do things that are not within scope for someone with his background, he knows just as much about instructional rounds and data wise and all those things as the educators in this organization. And so again, I want to say thank you. I honor you. We really appreciate you and we wish you much success and prosperity and all those great things as you move on. He's moving on out of his official role, but he will serve in a coaching capacity as we transition a new person in the district. And so we haven't hired that person yet, so don't go thinking you're off duty. This is your last board meeting. Let's get this all straight here. It's your last board meeting. But again, we want to say thank you so much. And Dr. Whartonby will be sitting very closely next to you over the next few weeks and trying to ensure that he we get as much knowledge capturing from you of the great work. And since you're alumni, we know that your heart is deep with the Pusky pride. So we can call upon you often when we need your support. But I just want to say I really appreciate you and I thank you very much. And we have a little small token for you for your commitment.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
I also want to thank Mr. Smith. I've been on the building committee since 2018, and I've learned so much from you. I thank you for your dedication for being here at 5 a.m. every morning and opening up doors. You know, as executive director, you didn't have to do that, but you continue. And I thank you for your dedication. I thank you for the knowledge that I have, have received. It's great that you're moving on. I'm sad that you are, but I know that you have a life. And, we're in good hands with Kirk. Yeah, we are. We are. And whoever else takes your position. But I just want to let you know, we truly appreciate all your dedication. Thank you. Okay. At this time, we will, may I have a motion to move this item forward to tonight's regular board meeting?
So moved.
Have a second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. It's moved on to tonight's board meeting. Oh, may I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, no, hold on. Any old business? Any new business? May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. moving on to the next, to the board meeting. Thank you.
All right.
Madam President.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Directors of the School District for the City of Allentown for today, November 21st, 2024. Prior to tonight's meeting, an informational executive session was held. The purpose of the executive session was to engage in informational updates presented to the board on a number of district initiatives, as well as confidential matters pertaining to personnel, discussion pertaining to student litigation matters, an informational update and discussion with council pertaining to district real estate and the associated design and finance of new school, ESSER's monitoring compliance update, in consultation with the district solicitor regarding the petition for the union representation of the custodian maintenance union. The board welcomes and invites public comments. You may address the board on agenda and or non-agenda items. The first opportunity for comment is at the beginning of the meeting and is limited to agenda items only. Comment cards must be received by the start of the meeting, which is now. We will not be receiving public cards once the meeting begins. A copy of the public comment policy is located on the table next to the comment cards. Per our board's policy, any person may address the board in accordance with the procedures and limitations of this policy, either on issues presented in resolutions being considered or on other matters affecting the administration, management, or operation of the district. Remarks of a personal nature directed against any individual will be ruled out of order. If you choose to address the board, please fill out a comment card and hand it to the board secretary, Mr. Simonson. Comment cards are located at the podium near the door. Once recognized, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and kindly limit your remarks to 3 minutes. We will now have the roll call. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Brown? Ms. Brown?
1 second. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I was reading something. I'm present.
Ms. Conover?
Present.
Ms. Harris?
Here.
Ms. Matheson?
Here.
Mr. Nikoloff?
Here.
Ms. Noel?
Here.
Ms. Ortiz?
Here.
Ms. Sierra?
Here.
Ms. Tiburcio?
Here.
We have 9 members present.
Please rise again for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
You have to wait?
So I'm hearing that technically we have to wait until 7 p.m. to start the meeting? Oh, because the student representatives are not here either. So we're going to take a small break. My apologies. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance one more time. Everyone, we're getting ready to start. I'm gonna let you do it first. And then I'm gonna do it first. So you're gonna, yeah, because you don't want to have the kids perform and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so no. Our meeting is now back in session. I'm handing it over to Dr. Brooks. No, she said we don't have to do that.
So good evening, school board directors, to all of our families who are here this evening, to all members of my team. Tonight, we are extremely excited to begin our meeting this evening. And at this time, I'd like to call to the center of the room, the Harrison Morton Middle School Choir. Let's give it up for Harris Morton. Let me turn this way.
Facing them or away?
Yes, facing them.
We want to thank Ms. Boyer for her leadership and all the great work that she's doing working with our students, and Dr. Hamilton, our interim principal at Harrison Morton School.
Our winter concert that is on December 18th at Harrison Morton. So, hope to see you.
Jingle bells swing and jingle bell ring, snowing and blowing the bushes of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chime in jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air. What a bright time, it's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time, it's a love time to go riding in the one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet, jingle around the clock. Listen, jingle and beat. That's the jingle bell rock. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chiming in jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. in the frosty air. What a bright time, it's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time, it's a swell time to go riding in a one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet. Jingle around the clock. Listen, mingle and jingle and beat. That's the jingle bell. That's the jingle bell. That's the jingle bell rock.
All right, we have one more for you in a second. That was Jingle Bell Rock, and this next one is called No School Tomorrow. All right. Are we ready?
There is school tomorrow.
Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause for Harrison Morton. And there's no school tomorrow if it snows. Okay. I want to thank all the families tonight. Thank you so much for allowing us to serve you. Let's give another round of applause and thank you. And have a great holiday season. Okay. This week we're celebrating a lot of various weeks. And so this week is American Education Week. And we're celebrating together safe and just and equitable schools during the week of November 18th through Friday, November 22nd. We invite each of you to join us in thanking all the educators and some of the non-traditional educators, meaning all of our custodians, secretaries, security officers, as well as our paraprofessionals and other fields. Actually, we learned a specific day called Educational Support Professionals Day also happens this week. So we want to thank all of you for your commitment and service to all of our students. Let's please give them a round of applause. Every role within our learning community makes a significant impact in the lives of all of our children and our families. And so we thank you so much. This week we had two great celebrations. One was our You Are the Light and our Latin dance competition. And I want to just acknowledge that as a community, each month we highlight families. We highlight our staff and students each month for You Are the Light. And these are members of our learning community who distinguish themselves as catalysts, as people who do things quietly, but they make significant impact on our learning community. And so we want to just thank them for their hard work and their commitment. But this month, in honor of National Family Month, we honored at our You Are Like the ceremony families who are making a significant impact on our learning community. And so we are proud that one of our school board directors, she was nominated by William Allen High School, Miss Anna Tiburcio, and she was the light. So she's wearing her You Are the Light shirt tonight. Let's give her a round of applause. So we want to thank you, Mr. Bercio, for your commitment as well to our learning community. And I want to thank Ms. Monley for bringing that to our attention and highlighting all the great things and the volunteerism of our families to our learning community and the significant contributions that they are making. I've said this a few times, and I wish I would have coined this phrase, but it came from Dr. Tony Bright, who's a researcher, that he says, he and other researchers, but he underscored this particular part of the research, that families and the community make significant impact on student achievement and the instructional core. So I want to thank all the families tonight, the first teachers, and all the support that you provide every day to your children. So thank you so much. And congratulations for National Family Awareness Month. Let's give them a round of applause. Also, last night, let me tell you, we had a dynamic time at the Latin dance competition, and we want to thank our partners, the Allentown School District Foundation. Let me tell you, we had a bunch of middle school students doing the salsa, merengue, all kind of great things happening. It was really exciting. And of course, they're all winners, but I want to congratulate South Mountain Middle School for taking home the best overall trophy. As an organization, we are divided into 3 networked improvement communities. So Mr. Brickhouse's Network Improvement Community 1, the middle school in his community. And so we have a lot of fun competition going on here. So that's what you hear back there. The other executive director saying, no, okay. So, but again, we want to commend South Mountain on a job well done. And we want to again thank the foundation for such a great event each year. This week is also Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week, and we are raising awareness across the district. We have several efforts going on throughout the district, including here within the central office, where we are collecting donations to support families who may be experiencing hunger or homelessness. And if you would like to contribute, we have a box here in the central office, and we welcome to take your canned goods, as well as food and monetary contributions to help support people who are in need. Additionally, I want to thank all the schools. The majority of our schools are engaged in various activities, and I want to some of them are donating food to food pantries, as well as to homelessness shelters. People are preparing Thanksgiving meals and so local food banks, and providing coats and winter accessories for families within our community. So I want to thank everyone for their hard work and commitment. to work with our families who may need these resources. I also want to commend our homeless liaisons. I had an opportunity to meet with one of them a couple of weeks ago and really understand the full scope of the work that they have underway. And I just want to say I salute you and I commend you for all the great things that you're doing, as well as our homelessness task force, who's keeping that in the forefront of helping to support our families. So I know that work is led by, of course, our school board directors who are part of the committee, and Dr. Roth and Ms. Pollock. So thank you so much. So again, at this time of need, and many of us are over the next few days or few weeks, we are enjoying time with our families and our friends. But I just want us to take a moment just to think about some of the people who may not have this opportunity, don't have family members or people who or places to go, and remember them in your thoughts and also in your contributions. And I just wish each of us a joyous holiday season filled with peace, joy, laughter, and fun with all your families. And I'm honored to serve with each of you in this great community. So thank you very much. And thank you, Ms. Brown Noel.
Thank you, Dr. Burks. And for my board president remarks, I'm going to echo some sentiments that you shared as well. I wanted to congratulate all the You Are the Light recipients. Like, that was amazing. Yesterday, I was able to see some videos and pictures, and I really want to thank all the faculty, students, families that come out month after month for the You Are the Light event. And I do want to commend Ms. Tabercio for all the work that she does in family engagement. I was not surprised that she was nominated for that because she does a lot of work in family engagement. So thank you, Ms. Tabercio, for all your work. I also wanted to acknowledge that this week is Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. And on behalf of the School Board of Directors, I would like to thank all the homeless liaisons, Dr. Roth, Ms. Pollock, and every partner on the homeless task force, and everyone that's serving on the task force, whether it's a board director or family. This past summer was so traumatic. There were fires after fire. It was so traumatic. And I get to be out there and I get to speak to the liaisons. I get to speak to people that actually do the work. And I know it's a lot. It's tasking. It is depleting at times. It takes a lot to do that work. So during this time, if you know someone that's doing the work, give them a hug, give them a pat on the shoulder, recognize them for the work, because I'm telling you, it is a lot. Like, we're still not recovered from all of the stuff that happened over the summer. It was fire after fire. There's still so many families that are displaced right now. So thank you so much to everyone that's actually, doing the work out there. And like Dr. Burke said, if you can help in any way that you can, please continue to do so. Dr. Roth, I even heard about you going in one day and, rolling up your sleeves and helping a family move. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing on the task force as well. And to everyone with the Latin dance competition, I heard that was beautiful, 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 beautiful. Congratulations to South Mound, but congratulations to all the students that show up and dedicate their time after school to do the dance. It takes a lot. A lot of kids don't want to be involved in after school activities and extracurricular activities. So for a kid to show up and be dedicated to that and be in the competition, and it's so much pride in that. So I want to commend those students, all the students that competed in the Latin dance competition. And tonight, I'm excited that the board will be voting on our board goals, which is in alignment with our strategic plan. And we're eager to get to work, on our goals as well. We did really, really well last year with our goals, especially in policy. Ms. Phoebe, I commend you, on us, exceeding our goal with policy. But we're really looking forward to getting started with our goals as a board and making sure that, we're getting things started with our strategic plan. Also, on behalf of the board, I want to thank, I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I want to wish you all the happiness. I want to wish you a peaceful, belly-full Thanksgiving. Eat it up. Eat all the good food, okay? Don't worry about it. You can flush it out afterwards. You'll be okay. And that ends my report for the night. At this time, we are only taking public comments on agenda items. Once recognized, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and kindly limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Any remarks? Okay. May I have a motion of approval of the minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Conover,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Matheson, Mr. Nikoloff,
Yes.
Ms. Noel,
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yes.
Ms. Sierra,
Yes.
Ms. Tiburcio,
Yes.
Ms. Brown.
No.
Motion passes 8-1.
Thank you. And now for our information updates. First, we have the Allentown Human Relations Commission. Is there a report?
During the last meeting on November the 7th, I was present at the school board meeting, so I do not have a report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Is there any report from the Allentown Public Library?
At the moment.
Thank you. Is there a report from the Allentown Recreation Commission? I do have a report from the Allentown School District Foundation. The ASD Foundation partnered with the school district on several initiatives over the past month to encourage, promote, support, and fund positive educational experiences for ASD students. The ASD High School Rivalry Challenge that ran from October 18th through October 26th raised close to $2,000 to support programs for ASD students. This fundraiser built on the momentum of school spirit created by the annual Allen Deera football game by challenging donors to give in honor of their favorite team. At the end of the rivalry week, the winner of this friendly competition was announced at halftime of the football game. The winner was Deera. The winner of the ASD and ASDF second annual Hispanic Heritage Month Arts and Letters Contest were announced yesterday at the You Are the Light celebration held at Deera High School. 10 student artists and 6 student poets each received a medal and a $25 gift card in recognition of their excellent submissions. Our 12th annual Latin dance competition took place last night at William Allen High School with 49 students from ASD, 4 middle schools, skillfully dancing salsa and merengue. South Mountain earned the first place trophy. Trexler earned second place. Harrison Morton won best salsa and Rob won best merengue. Check out the Morning Call website for beautiful event photos. ASD Foundation's Teacher Innovation Grant and ASD representatives are reviewing the 29 special project proposals that were submitted by ASD educators last month. Based on their recommendations, we expect to award close to $30,000 in grants, up to $1,200 each. Recipients will be announced in December and funds will be distributed in January with project completion during the spring semester. And finally, ASD Foundation Visual Arts residencies are taking place in 4 ASD elementary schools this fall. Students at Central Stream Academy are working with Ro Gesick, a local teaching artist, to create colorful murals in the cafeteria hallway. Claire Marcus, another professional artist, is conducting book and paper arts workshops at Jefferson, Moser, and Union Terrace. Art residents are offering on rotating basis, and several ASD elementary schools will be invited to host an artist in the spring. And that ends my report for the ASD Foundation. Okay, and now my report for the Carbon Lehigh Intermediate Union. Dr. Kathy Nelson, Assistant Director of Special Programs and Services, highlighted the journey of the Early Intervention Program, culminating in the development of the Whitehall Copley Early Learning Center, a new facility that consolidates classrooms and staff into a shared space designed for children with developmental, physical, and social emotional needs. The program operates across 3 centers in numerous satellite locations, providing specialized instruction. and iterate services and evaluation in partnership with the community organizations. The new center, featuring 11 classrooms, sensory-friendly spaces, and assistive technology, enables increased collaboration and physical needs holistically. Serving over 2,700 children in the 2023-2024 school year, the program emphasizes early identification and support to reduce the need for special education by kindergarten. Dr. Nelson celebrated the professional team and commitment to continued growth, outreach, and collaboration. Amber Snyder, CLIU family social worker, was introduced to share a family experience at the new center. The family shared a testimonial about their children's experience in the early intervention program, highlighting that although their child typically struggles with change, the transition to the new facility has been remarkably smooth. For the 2025-2026 general operation budget, the GOB is the only budget mandated by Pennsylvania statute that requires board action by each member of the school district, and the one budget that requires a school district contribution, which is formula driven by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. With a 0% increase of district contributions and an overall budget increase of 2.17%, the board approved the proposed 2025-2026 general operation budget on Monday evening. The 2025-2026 general operational budget encompasses curriculum and instruction services and families. Last November 18 to the 27th marked American Education Week. CLIU administration will be visiting all CLIU programs throughout Carbon and Lehigh counties. On behalf of Dr. Coons and all of the CLIU leadership team, thank you to all the staff who go above and beyond all the limits on our mission of helping children learn. And that ends my report. Is there a report from the Lehigh Korean Technical?
No report tonight.
Okay. And for our student representatives, Alicia Rodriguez.
In early October, Mrs. Bruno's Advanced English and some of Mrs. Perkins' AP History students took a field trip to the 9/11 Museum in NYC. Museum educators led a tour through the museum, and students were able to explore the historical and memorial exhibits, see the survivor stairs, remains of artifacts that survived the collapse, using her knowledge from the 9/11 Institute for Educators. Mrs. Bruno gave the class a tour of the memorial pools to complete the experience. The trip was supplemental to their unit on survival and deepened their understanding and connection to the events of September 11, 2001. The William Allen High School chapter of the National Honor Society has been busy during the month of October. Our members sold concessions at the home girls volleyball games, raising $300. On October 23rd, the NHS hosted a Miller Keystone blood drive where 31 units were collected. Finally, on October 30th, 33 new members were inducted to our William Allen High School National Honor Society. William Allen High School debate hosted round 3 of the EPC Western Division competition. The result, the United States federal government should significantly strengthen its protection of the domestic intellectual property rights and copyrights, patents, or trademarks. School in attendance were Allen, Deerhoff, Parkland, Central, Emmaus, and Whitehall. Little Free Libraries are a nationwide nonprofit community-based reading initiative. Individuals or organizations can install a small weatherproof library box and fill it in with books that can be taken for free by the community. Many community members who use the Little Free Libraries also exchange books and put selections in library boxes when they visit William Allen's brand new Little Free Library. Students, teachers, and community members are encouraged to take books at no cost and exchange books that are finished with. Our college and career counselor has been busy this month. Students in grades 9 11th and 12th had the opportunity to visit the Sales University, and seniors who applied to Kutztown University were able to tour the Kutztown campus. In addition, on November 12th, the school counseling department hosted a financial aid information session, followed by a college and career fair in the main cafeteria. This was open to all students and was well attended. Students from Ms. Moyer's science class traveled to Franklin Institute. They enjoyed exhibits about the human brain and physics. Allen Athletics wishes to thank all those who came and supported Allen Athletics this fall. We had our best fall athletic season in over a decade. Our boys soccer team qualified for league and district playoffs and had 3 all-conference players who will be back next year as seniors. The Allen boys team saw the most wins since 2019, including a thrilling overtime win over Deerup. Our fall teams finished with a 4-1 record versus Deerup for those keeping track of the ASD Athletics Cup. Allen Athletics is looking forward to our winter season. The Winter Meet the Team night was last night on Wednesday, November 20th, where we introduced our winter student athletes, had a DJ and team dance contest, free giveaways, and a parent breakout sessions to meet with coaches. Our Allen A's Student Leadership Club continues to meet and work on ways to improve our athletic department as well as our school. The A's were also invited to attend and represent our school at the grant announcement press conference with PA Secretary of Education, Dr. Moomin. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Kimberly, for Building 21.
Good evening. I'm happy to be back for my 3rd year representing the students at Building 21. So the 2024 to 2025 school year has been off to a busy start. If you have visited or driven past our campus, you may have noticed a long-awaited addition. Thanks to the work of Building 21 senior Crystal Alonso in partnership with the City of Allentown ASD's facilities team and the generosity of community member S&G Asphalt Service, our students held their first basketball tournament on October 23rd. Since then, our students have been on the court in the PE classes and after school almost every day, except today, of course. Our students have taken a number of educational trips to enhance their learning. ELA students have visited the PA Shakespeare Festival at DeSales University, where they enjoyed a performance of A Midsummer's Night Dream. Public service career students spent an afternoon at the Allentown Fire Academy. Several senior social studies students traveled to the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia to see historian Ken Burns awarded the Liberty Medal. When our students are out in the community comes to them in the classroom. This year, this year has seen students learning with many community partners, including PPL joining our urban agriculture students to clean up our patio and plant a pollinator garden. This space will now serve as an outdoor classroom for many of our students. Crayola bought professionals from across their businesses to meet with our 9th graders to discuss how essential skills such as collaboration, presentation, project management, and workplace communications figure into their positions. Not only did students learn about the many careers it takes to produce from someone's imaginations to someone's crayon box, but they saw the next generational essential skills that they are rated on in class, at work, in the art world outside of the classroom. Our longtime partners at Lehigh University celebrated World GIS Day with the students in our science classes on November 20th. Our students often use the same geospatial tools used across many industries as they learn through inquiry on our classrooms. Sometimes our best partners come from within the district. This month, our health classes have worked with the ASD Child Nutrition Services to learn about what makes a healthy breakfast and how ASD's breakfast program sets students up to succeed in their school day. Students have created a display to promote our new breakfast service cart and to encourage healthy breakfast habits. Thank you, Ms. Gina. It wouldn't be November at Building 21 if we didn't speak about an election. I wasn't the only student who voted for the first time this month. In addition, a dozen Building 21 students joined students from across the district and the county in serving our community as poll workers, many serving their wards as interpreters. We have welcomed families into our building several times this year at an open house, at a recognition event to celebrate 65 of our students for excellence in academics, behavior, attendance throughout the first quarter, and next week for student-led conferences. To any of our families, if you have not scheduled to attend a conference led by your student, please reach out to your student's advisor. New school years often mean new faces. Not only did we welcome a new freshman class of 140 students, but there were many additions to our faculty. Thanks to the new teachers in the building, our students are now engaged in learning in new classes in American Sign Language, Spanish, astronomy, forensics, sports performance, anatomy, and physiology. Since Miss Brown Noel mentioned when we students were welcomed to the board last month that she welcomed us to using our reports to highlight challenges and not just celebrations, we would like to mention that our new astronomy students are struggling to study the stars given the current vacancy in directing the Learning Dome. This elective is only a semester long, and we would love to be able to bring students to explore the night sky using this valuable district resource. And finally, on topic of new faces, we started this school year with a familiar face in a new position. While we will miss Miss Barks and hope our little siblings at Ramos are treating her well, we want to take the moment to shout out our interim assistant school leader, Miss Wilmer, and for everything she brings to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And for Cadence Sprayberry, Deer High School?
Hi, hello, good afternoon. First off, I want to start by talking about DEERF's chapter of the National Honor Society. We saw a huge jump in membership with the incoming class of 11th graders this year. We now have the largest National Honor Society we've had since COVID and one of the largest in DEERF's history. So that's really exciting. It's been so good to see the National Honor Society kind of recover from the pandemic. I'm very pleased with that. Thank you. In addition, we held a Krispy Kreme fundraiser last month that was one of the largest in our history. I believe we raised somewhere in the realm of $2,700. It was a lot. We sold hundreds and hundreds of boxes of Krispy Kremes, so that was chaotic, but it did a lot of good. It did a lot of good. It makes a lot of money and everybody gets their donuts. Everybody's happy. We are currently scheduling our blood drive. In previous years, Deer High School has held the second largest blood drive in Lehigh County, second only to Lehigh University, producing an average of around 60 units of blood a year, which is amazing. And we are on schedule to hold that in the first week of December, I believe. In addition, we are in the process of holding a can and toy drive currently to help get people food and toys for the Thanksgiving and Christmas season. As the president mentioned, we held You Are the Light last night, which was amazing. It was so amazing to see the people in our community recognized and see the families and the teachers and the students who work hard. That was lovely. This is the start of winter sports. We had an amazing fall sports season. I don't know all of the numbers exactly, but as my friend Alicia mentioned, we did lose 4 out of our 5 rivalry matches against Allen. So I'm not personally happy about that myself, but what happens, happens. We are starting winter sports with the basketball meet the team night being tonight. I was not able to make it, not on the basketball team anyway. In addition, for something a little more personal to myself, we did indeed host the debate, the 4th round of the EPC's debate at DEERF. And with the main season finishing on Tuesday, DEERF's debate team finished 3rd in the district, only to Emmaus and Parkland, who were tied for 1st. We finished with the best record in DEERF history, and for the first time in DEERF history, DEERF's debate team has now qualified for 2 playoffs in a row, making us officially the best debate team in DEERF's history. So I'm very pleased about that. Myself, and it's been really amazing. We went from having about 3 or 4 people on the debate team freshman year to having a full team with note takers and presidents and captains and dedicated people. So that's been so amazing to really put in the work and see the results there. It's been lovely. Cheer team, shout out to our cheer team. They won 1st place in a game day division at Freedom. So that was amazing. We have an amazing cheer team and they're doing stellarly. Finally, to wrap things off, the Deer Theater program has finished up rehearsing for our fall play, which is A Midsummer Night's Dream, and we will be hosting it this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you are a Shakespeare fan and you would like to come see Deer students perform Midsummer Night's Dream, please do. The times are available online. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sprayburn. And thank you to all the student reps. It's so exciting to hear everything that's going on in your schools. And thank you, Ms. Kimberly, for telling us what you need. I love that. May I have a motion for approval of the Board of Directors report?
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Matheson,
Yes.
Mr. Nikoloff,
Yes.
Ms. Noel,
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yes.
Ms. Sierra,
Yes.
Ms. Tiburcio,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Conover.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. May I have a motion for approval of the policy agenda?
I'll make that motion.
May I
I'll
have a
second.
second? Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have, the policy number 230.
You said 2330?
Scratch that. I was in my head. Policy 230. No, 200. Public performances by students.
Mhm.
It's code 230. It's a new policy. So I had a question when it says delegation of responsibility. It says all requests for public performances by student groups require the approval of the superintendent who shall report such reports to the board. So my question lies with why superintendent instead of teacher or principal? And what does that process look like? Like, why did we take the autonomy away from that building level?
Go ahead.
I'm looking to you, Ms. Phoebe, because of the committee that you were working with on this, on the policies.
Who in the
Um,
committee?
The policy committee.
Policy group.
Well, we're here. This is the committee here.
Yeah.
'Cause if
No, meaning people that she talked with administration, because I don't know what the policy was, quite honestly, was before. So ultimately, I am responsible for trips, and Ms. Smith may have some insights on this.
Isn't this a new policy?
This is a new
It's
policy.
a new policy. So,
This
Yes,
yeah.
it's new, but it was created, right?
was
Yeah, but I'm
created,
just saying,
yes.
We didn't
So
take
my
autonomy.
question, I'm sorry, you didn't,
No, I'm just saying they didn't take it. We can amend it. So,
right,
yeah.
and this is the second reading, so we need to look at that.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of policies and there's a lot of decisions that's made in district when we don't take that away from the teachers and so I'm just trying to figure out why does it go straight to the superintendent in this policy? Because you like 1,000 places, and if you can't make a decision, then that means our kids will miss out. So, thank you.
Trust me, I that responsibility is done over. But go ahead.
Ms. Conover, we did have a discussion because we did talk about adding outside the Allentown community so that if students were leaving outside our Allentown school areas, the superintendent would approve and let the board know. So we could make that change if that you feel that would make it a little bit better. So that way, if we're doing You Are the Light, that's not something that has to be discussed or shared with you. But if a student like the Hayes Harmony goes to do something at the United Way in Bethlehem, then that's something that the superintendent or designee could approve and then share with the board. So we could change that language.
So then the other part goes, thank you. The board hardly gets anything. So why are we getting this? Is this something that we're gonna do across the board? No, I'm talking about when you're gonna, there's a lot of people a lot of students that go a lot of places. And everything that happens in district, it doesn't get reported back to us. A lot of stuff, we get it later. So this is saying, now we're not just a governing body. You're reporting to us. Do we receive reports?
No.
Reports for.
What-
This is all a new policy. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I
Go ahead.
understand it's new. It says it's new. But
I just need clarity on are you saying we don't get the report to vote on it or the report after they go on the trip?
we don't get reports after they go on the trip.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, got clear.
So I'm just trying to figure out where this change is coming from. Is this like a blanket policy that came from somewhere and we adopted it and now we're trying to
It
move
is the
forward?
PSBA recommended policy. This is what what we read through the first time was the red version from PSBA.
So I'm in agreement with part of this policy. But I think that this delegation part of the response, it needs to be revisited because even if it came from PSBA, it doesn't mirror what we're doing and it doesn't I don't see, I'm just one person, where our kids could benefit. Because if, again, like you said, if you had to decide and you're like somewhere else, then our kids would be held back. And then we've also had students in the past who had opportunities to go places and do things, and then they were told they couldn't do it. And so it just has to make sense. I would want to be clear on what this policy looks like, and also what that process looks like, because we don't want our kids to miss out, and we want to be real clear.
We have been.
Ms. Conover, can I just make a suggestion? Would you be satisfied if the language would say, all requests for public performances by student groups require the approval of the superintendent or the superintendent's designee, who shall report such requests to the board?
I can't say that because it's not about me. I think that it needs to be, you need to talk to the teachers and the people who have, like we just had a group come in and they sang, right? So these people need to be involved in seeing what this policy looks like.
I think, and they are. I didn't interpret this way, but maybe we all have, different viewpoints, that I'm going to say whether a student can go somewhere now, because I would not deny students opportunities. And that I didn't ascertain that from what's written here. And so if there's needs to put a language, I think the recommendation that Ms. Smith offered up is, if sometimes our students are asked to present during the day at various activities that are directly connected to the school district. And there are times I've gone to events and I'm like, oh, our students are performing, and I'm not even aware. And I would like to know, especially on that event, it's a fundraising event or something, and I just would like to know that our students are going to be present.
Lisa.
Me personally, but I wouldn't say they couldn't go, but I should be informed.
Part of the process piece.
Right, sure.
That's not they can't go because they didn't get your.
No, because I don't get involved in that.
So what form of autonomy does the people at that building level have? Because in my experience before you got here, and it still continues, people, teachers or advisors or whatever the title is, they're dealing with the students, and they get pushback sometimes when they want to do certain things. And so to put that in the hands of the superintendent and or its delegate, I just think that they should actually be able to weigh in on what that would look like.
And I think, and they do. I mean,
but this right here is, because I've been to a lot of board meetings. And so what happens is, if once this is written in stone and something doesn't go a specific way, then they're going to say, well, you guys voted on that policy. And so it needs to have clarity this is the second reading. So I think that piece needs to be revisited. That's just my thoughts.
However, one moment, please. However, we were on that board when those children were not allowed to go because of something that happened in the building. Whereupon this time, they can go. They will be able to go. It won't be pushed back from the, whatever happened in that building. It will go to the superintendent or her designee. And that way the board knows what's going on, because we've been through that before, where, children were not allowed to go to a certain thing because the people in the building interpreted it wrong.
Can it be that the principals of the school make that decision if it's local, and anything outside of the district must go through the superintendent or designee?
That's where I had a question with, because that's what happened before.
So that's what you said. We have questions. So we need to get those questions answers.
Yes.
Should be saying, hey, this is it. Because once it's done, it's done.
But I understand what you're saying, Miss Conover, but from the other side, like you said, when we had to fight for that situation, those situations, it would not be in the hands of, the building anymore.
For the record, the practice is that teachers decide they want to go on a field trip. We have a process for vetting to make sure it's tied to the curriculum. It's presented to the administration of the school. The administration of the school puts forward a recommendation. It goes to the central office anyway to vet out and make sure there's safe environments and places. So I just want to add, if you want, that it will go through the process of teacher, principal, and whomever, and then we will it comes to me this is my recommendation, if it's an event that's not directly tied to the curriculum. Because there are trips that happen, I'm like, oh, that's nice, but it's not directly tied to the curriculum. So, and I think that's why this was offered up, I would think, by PSBA.
So events that are not tied to the curriculum would have to come to you for.
Or my designee, quite honestly. If that makes you feel more comfortable, because I don't have to fit a field trip, the plural. I'm talking you plural,
Yeah,
the board.
okay.
Yes.
Now that you mention it that way, I do understand the vetting. Like there does need to be some kind of vetting in place. I just don't know who should be the person doing the vetting.
We have executive directors of instructional leadership. They provide oversight of schools. So something like this, I'll be honest with you, would never get to me, quite honestly, in our normal, what we have going on right now. Unless there was a major, if they were going to out of state, that would come to you overnight. Or out of the country, it would come to the board for approval, and that's within our policy. But something like a field trip to, and they don't, because recently I went to an event and I contacted the supervisor and I was like, oh, I didn't know that our students were going to be on stage today. And it was a major fundraiser. So it was a great thing, but we had no idea. So I guess that's why PSBA is probably proposing this. But I'm okay with the levels, if that's okay with the collective board, that it goes through our levels, teacher decides on trip goes, so they have to follow all our procedures, get transportation, make sure that the transportation is within the parameters so we can get all the other students home. So we can't let them, oh, you go on a trip to 5 o'clock and no, we can't pick you up. So there's some vetting that goes through the process.
So Ms. Conover, do you want to table this one?
Oh,
You do that too.
I would like to.
What's the number?
Unless we can come to, like I said, we need to reach out to those people. And you said that they were already included.
Yeah, they mentioned the trip. This is our process.
Yeah.
What I explained. And then again, essentially this would go to an executive director of instructional leadership. That person will vet out the trips. And just for the record, I want to make sure any opportunity that's going to be great for our kids, I would never, ever prevent them from doing something that's going to benefit them ever. I want them to have all the experiences imaginable.
Another option could be in the administrative regulations which are adopted that can be addressed, the procedures in that. And that's much more flexible than the adoption of a policy. That the administration can establish the process and procedure and disseminate it to staff. If the superintendent or the superintendent's designee shall develop administrative regulations to implement this policy. That's very typical, and the board doesn't need to establish the process because you might change and or reorganize the method of approval for a lot of reasons that we don't even know of today.
I'm for that.
So what do you suggest that we do with this? To wait so we can change the language?
And I think the verbiage.
I think you should let them go back and figure it out, like you just said.
The superintendent has the right in the administration to issue administrative regulations, which the board does not adopt on a regular basis. But once they're developed, she can certainly share them with the board and show the process upon which this will be handled in the future. And you could give input to the superintendent on that. But administrative regulations are usually the typical way, and you don't include that in the overall policy.
So you're saying the procedure is not listed in the policy?
That's correct. It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be listed in the policy.
It shouldn't be listed in the policy. It's up to
Should the policy state that the superintendent will create a procedure?
It does. It does in the last line.
Okay.
It's that other line where it says, superintendent who shall report such, where it says all requests for public performances by student groups require the approval of the superintendent. So you're saying,
I said the superintendent or designee. I'm suggesting the policy be changed, the superintendent or the superintendent's designee, and then that gives the flexibility to the administration to develop written policies and administrative regulations. You should not be putting administrative regulations in board policy as a matter of governance.
So that last sentence shouldn't be there. No?
The
What
last
should it
sentence
say?
remains.
Right, so take out the other one. So delegation of responsibility, superintendent or designate shall develop administrative regulations to implement this policy.
You could live without the first, we could delete that first section and then include the rest in the process in the policy. That's another option.
I agree with that part. Just take that out.
So we could take out assuming your fellow board members are in agreement, you could remove that and then relegate the authority of how that process is done to the superintendent or the superintendent's designate.
So are we making an amendment to this?
It's a second reading, so.
You could agree to either amendment or just agree to.
Okay, I'd rather agree. To,
Yes, if the chair of the committee is saying that she agrees to delete that section and in the last sentence, the superintendent or the superintendent's designee be included in that last sentence. Who made the second? Did we have a motion in a
I
second?
think I made the second.
Ms. Harris did. I
seconded somebody who.
Okay, if whoever made the first motion and the second, if you agree to that change, then that's what the board will vote on.
I agree.
Okay.
Waiting for a second. Right. Can we just make sure we're clear what's being said? Unless you all understand what's being.
No, you want to be clear?
You're clear? Okay.
Yeah, we're deleting.
We're deleting all requests for public performance by students. We're deleting that section. And the only part that's left under that section is the superintendent or designate shall develop administrative regulations to implement this policy. So then you create.
No, I just want to make sure there's a collective understanding of what was being done.
Yeah.
I understood.
Dr. Burks,
make
can
sure.
I make sure we understand over here just because, so we're going to leave purpose exactly as it's written. We're going to leave authority exactly how it's written. Under delegation of responsibility, we're going to strike the first sentence that starts with all requests, and then we'll leave the last sentence that starts with the superintendent or designee shall develop.
Yes.
I got it right. Okay. Thank you.
Any more discussion?
Okay, please call the roll.
Ms. Matheson,
Yes.
Mr. Nikoloff,
No.
Ms. Noel,
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yes.
Ms. Sierra,
Yes.
Ms. Tiburcio,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Conover,
Yes.
Ms. Harris.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-1.
Thank you. May I have a motion of approval for the secretary and treasurer's report?
I make that motion.
May I have a
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Matheson,
Yes.
Mr. Nikoloff,
Yes.
Ms. Noel,
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yes.
Ms. Sierra,
Yes.
Ms. Tiburcio, Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Conover,
Yes.
Ms. Harris.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. May I have a motion of approval for the superintendent's report?
I make that motion.
May I have a second? Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Noel,
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yes.
Ms. Sierra,
Yes.
Ms. Tiburcio, Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Conover,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Matheson,
Yes.
Mr. Nikoloff.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. May I have a motion of approval for the personnel report?
So moved.
Wait, may I have a second?
Second.
I want to ask to remove the resignations, please.
Board, we're good with removing the resignation separating? What section is that?
Section 2, please.
Section 2? We're not removing, we're voting on it separately. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I meant.
yeah,
Mhm.
no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve section 2 of the personnel report?
Motion.
That's the resignation part?
Yes.
I make the motion.
May I have a second?
Is motion already on the floor?
Yeah,
Yes,
it
I made the
was.
motion.
But it was for the whole thing, not for the. divided.
Okay, so what you need to do is just like we did before, achieve an agreement between the person who made the first, the initial motion and the second, and they.
Yeah, I
can-
think I turned left and right and
Did we get that agreement?
yes,
I
we
made
can
a
do
rem-
it. We can
a
do it
motion
again.
to remove the resignation from the personnel.
No, but then I asked the person that made it. Yes.
Okay, the person who made the motion and the person who seconded it, if they agree to that, that's fine.
We're in agreement?
I'll agree to the separation.
Okay. All right, so we'll go again. May I have a motion of approval for section 2 of the personnel report?
I make the motion.
Again, okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yes.
Ms. Sierra,
Yes.
Ms. Tiburcio,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
No.
Ms. Conover,
No.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Matheson,
Yes.
Mr. Nikolov,
Yes.
Ms. Noel.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 to 2. 7 to 2. My apologies, 7 to 2.
No problem. Now, may I have a motion to approve the rest of the personnel report? Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yes.
Ms. Sierra,
Yes.
Ms. Tiburcio,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Conover,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Matheson,
Yes.
Mr. Nikolov,
Yes.
Ms. Noel.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. And for Mr. Sang, can you please come forward and introduce our new leaders?
Good evening, Superintendent Burks and our esteemed school board. As is our tradition, we'll introduce those administrators that are present tonight. We do have several that are on the board with a change in effective date. And we'd like to welcome, as they appear in our board book, our elections. First, Kyle Burrell, who is our human capital manager.
Thank you.
We'd also like to welcome Paul Wes Spence, who will be our split principal at Lehigh Parkway and Washington Elementary Schools.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
So.
It would work. We're singing it.
Yeah, it's on there. Mhm. All right.
Yeah, how about that?
All right. May I have a motion of approval for the finance report?
So moved.
May I have a second? Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Sierra,
Yes.
Mr. Bercio,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Conover,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Matheson,
Yes.
Mr. Nikoloff,
Yes.
Ms. Noel,
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. May I have a motion of approval for the building report?
Make that motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Bercio,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Conover,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Matheson,
Yes.
Mr. Nikoloff,
Yes.
Ms. Noel,
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yes.
Ms. Sierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. At this time, we are only taking public comments on non-agenda items. I would like to again remind the public that our public comment policy. Per our board's policy, any person may address the board in accordance with the procedures and limitations of this policy, either on issues presented in resolutions being considered or on other matters affecting the administration, management, or operation of the district. Remarks of a personal nature directed at any individual will be ruled out of order. Once recognized, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and kindly limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Is there any old business to come before the board?
Yes, I was just looking at the agenda.
Mhm.
It doesn't have building report on there. Just, my copy doesn't, so I just want to make a note of it, so if there's a way to make it.
Did you get one from over there?
No, this is what was sent to me. If everybody else has it, I just want to make sure that we're not saying building. And
I did see it. But
there-
on this piece of paper.
Can you speak to agenda? She said.
So the agenda that was sent out on Friday didn't have the building report complete yet. Last night, the agenda was posted publicly per the Sunshine Law requirement, and it has building report on it. So what's on board docs and what's copied over here does include the building report.
Yes, thank you.
The one I got from over there doesn't have it.
I saw it.
Yeah, I left mine in the car, so I grabbed the one from there.
So there's not a number 16 there?
Just wanted to make a note of it. So since you did post it online and it is online,
Yes.
just providing clarity
I
that,
did check it online last evening.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any new business? May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So move.
Second.
Have a great night and happy holidays, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.